Hey guys, here. Let's rank the theme teams from 32 to 1. We did it last year. Let's do it again. All right. It's going to be a bit of a journey. So let's just start off quite quick. First one, number 32 is the Bengals. Sadly, the Bengals are as bad in MUT as they are IRL. Or, I mean, I guess it makes sense that a bad team, the one with the least amount of wins, would have the worst team because they're not getting upgrades from a lot of team of the weeks. But overall, their defense is really bad. Like this is the worst theme team defense in by far. I mean, it's not even close. But move on quick from them since they don't really matter. And if you're a Bengals fan, sorry for you being a Bengals fan and your theme team not being good. Colts. It's sad. And one thing about the theme teams that you're gonna see over and over. Oh, shout out to A. Jones on Mudhead. I'll link this post for putting this together. Colts, sad thing about them, I mean, and kind of this theme team in general is like Peyton Manning, they got Andrew Luck, but like these guys are kind of, Luck's probably the best quarterback in the game, and he's got decent weapons. I was going to say Kurt Warner as in every single theme team. It's something I don't really love, but it's pretty close. But the reason the Colts are so low is because of their lack of CBs. I think CBs in this game and DBs in general are super important. So there's a lot of important positions that you're going to find with like low to mid elites that you're going to have to fill with. But offensive line is, just got Quentin Nelson basically there. Your running back situation's really bad also. So Colts, you're number 31 in my opinion. Now, your opinion could, and depending on your game style and the way you play the game, of course, your rankings are different than mine. I'd love to hear it in the comments. Number 30 will be the Lions. They have some decent weapons there for the Lions at wide receiver as we load up here. Offensive line, a little weak. You're going to see a lot of weak offensive linemen. We haven't got a ton of upgrades. We got some heavyweights, of course, some other cards through the year. But Lions got Herman Moore, Marvin Jones. Once Megatron switches from free safety and they give him like a wide receiver card, I think they'll be better. But you're going to see Kurt Warner a lot here at the quarterback spot. So makes it bland. Your halfback isn't that great either. And then your DBs, your secondary, you got Slay, which is good, but then your other ones are okay. Your defensive line's got some studs on it, though. And your linebacker core is pretty weak too. So that's why the Lions are 30 in my opinion. Next up, 29. Somebody I didn't really expect to be here, but they've struggled this year. So it makes sense the Falcons don't have a lot of upgrades either at 29. So we'll open their team. Falcons. You had a pretty good win though. Offensive line again, pretty mediocre. I like the offensive line when I grade these things. I don't take it hugely into effect. As offensive line, I think is the weakest position groups in Madden. Your tackles going to be used in the pass game. You won't get much push in the run game. You'll get shedded quite a bit. But really, stretches are kind of like pre-canned animations, so that it doesn't run that much. You basically have one wide receiver. You got Vic and Ryan solid. Your running back sucks. And then your defense is okay too. You got a decent user. Tuggle there for the CPU to play. And then you got Dion and Desmond, two top tier cornerbacks. But there's a lot of holes on this team. And you're going to see a lot of holes just overall through the entire exercise until we get to, at this time of year, maybe even like top 5, start to have fewer holes. But you're going to see there's going to be at least a position weakness or two on every single squad. Dolphins is 28. And Dolphins actually have some decent cards there on defense. Offense, they do struggle. Tight end is a black hole for them. Linemen, they got Little and Tunzel there. Wide receivers are fringe average. You do have another team boosted up by Kurt Warner. Like if Kurt Warner wasn't on the Dolphins, it would be a disaster again. Like if Kurt Warner wasn't in this game, a lot of theme teams would be a disaster. Landry there. So I don't know. What do you guys think about Kurt Warner? Got cards there on all these theme teams. They got whatever. Minka, if he ever gets a power up, he'll get a better card there. Hopefully get a Steeler team of the week. Then you got really good CBs and kind of a front defensive line here for the Dolphins. So I don't know. Nothing that I'd actually want. I know a few people main a Dolphins theme team, and I just refer to them. Like you, Josh, friggin' psychos. Vikings at number 27. Surprising because Vikings are actually decent IRL. They're going to give a run for the North this year. But their theme team right now, not really collected up to it. You got a decent center. Sullivan can move to guard. Your tight end, you got the ghost in the post. Your wide receiver core is stacked. You're another one that relies on Kurt Warner. Cook is good. But your DB's solid. You're relying on a couple goal players. Wayne is actually decently fast, luckily. Your front four are going to be great. but you only have one like amazing linebacker. You do have an amazing user, which helps you and puts you up this high. But overall, still some weak spots, especially in important spots like CB there. But overall, Vikings very solid team indeed. Next up on the list, whoop, that was the face cam. A little bit of fire. Buccaneers. How much does it cost to pierce a pirate's ear? It's about a buccaneer. All right, let's look at the theme team before I struggle with any more terrible jokes. So, Buccaneers. Solid 3 pieces on the offensive line. Tight ends are in a good spot right there. OJ needs to be fed a little bit more this year, IRL. Your wide receivers in a good spot too. You got 4 deep right there. You're boosted up. You got a couple good. You can even run Steve Young if you want an escape guy. Your running back's in a bad spot. Garrett Blunt's just not fast enough. You're struggling here in the secondary. You got 2 okay corners. Lakeeb's really the only one that's really competitive with other squads right now. But yeah, you're kind of there. Otherwise, linebackers and front line are pretty solid there for the Buccaneers. So, unfortunately, bad against the pass, okay against the run, and you got a pretty decently balanced offense. That's why Bucks are 26. I mean, like, as of right now, like, even at 26, we're going through a perfectly fine kind of teams right here. Like, these are all, like, usable. You're not going to be up there with, like, the God squads of the world, but these are perfectly fine to use overall. Offensive line here for the Titans at number 25. You got 2 good tight ends there with Delaney Walker being one of the best in the game. You're kind of struggling there with Penalty McGee right there. And Warner, you're held up. Mariota, I guess, if you want to really be crazy. Henry should be getting a better card, maybe with Team of the Week even. You got a stud receiver and then kind of 2 boner kills right there. Your DBs, you got Bayard is a little underpowered right now. He's not very good. McCourty, Ryan, And then like a usable front, but not that great. Your linebackers are pretty solid, though. So that's why I put the Titans at 25. We did not forget them for this one because you always must remember the Titans. Next up, Jags. Jags. Jags, like, what to say about the Jags, right? Kind of unloading Ramsey. You still got him on your theme team. Your offensive line's okay. Not that like I said, when I say okay, like 70s are like whatever. You got some guys in the middle, but I shouldn't really even call it okay. It's pathetic, right? If they had these studs at tackles, I'd be more okay with it. Interior lineman, I don't care about, but I really do care about tackles. Mercedes Lewis, good tight end, not great. Fournette, okay. You're another one that's boosted up by Warner. You got Torrey Holt, Robinson. Your DBs are a little bit weak. Their safeties are a little bit weak. But you have decent sized and decent skilled corners. Ramsey's solid. He's inconsistent in game, though. Front line solid, and linebackers, you got a decent user choice there. So Jaguars number 24 for me. I do think, like, it's so hard against, like, the Tyreeks of the world, the Moss of the world, that a lot of these theme teams are going to go up against. Bills at 23, which is why I focus a lot on secondaries, because, like, if you could just be outstreaked the entire game, you're just not going to have a good time. Sure, it could stop the run. There's a lot of formations you can do. There's a lot of scheming you can do. But if you Tyreek Hill on a God squad could just run right past your secondary, I really rate you low. Whereas like a lineman, they will block for like a second and a half at least. You can at least try and like work around them. DBs, it's so hard to work around. It's shade them over the top, play them off, but you can still get run past. It's so crazy. Reed, Owen, solid receivers. Whatever offensive line, black hole at tight end. Another team, this is the Bills, that's boosted up by Kurt Warner. If it weren't for him, these guys would be in trouble. Singletary, not that good. Your secondary and your defense is actually really good. That's where the Bills, just like IRL, are winning with defense. You got a great user there, and then some solid players around on the defense. So Bills, they just have like solid pieces with only like T.O. being like the outstanding team. I guess Reed's too, as the solid piece of their team. But they're like overall foundationally strong on defense, which I think it's, and then having nice receivers, that's really how you kind of win games if you're a passer in this game. I guess running the ball, if you're a runner, maybe you rate them lower because they had a bad halfback. Chargers at number 2, but at 22, I'm a passer, so that's why I'm kind of slanted that way. Whereas I look for more like the passing, receiving options rather than who has the best running back in the game. Talk about good running back. You got Melvin Gordon here. Chargers, good right side of the line. Tight ends, very good. Your receivers are kind of below average. Breeze and Warner about the same. You can also throw Rivers in there. Eckler, you actually got a good backup there. You got competent DBs. And your D-line and linebackers are all pretty okay. I guess your D-line's better than your linebacking core. But I think the Chargers, I think we're starting to get into like the less of the flawed teams once we get into the low 20s here. This one's an all-around. This one I think you can compete with a lot of things. You're just going to struggle to kind of get guys open, especially against man schemes. If anybody ever has like God Squad man coverage players, that's gonna be a struggle to get separation there. You have to, I mean, but here's the thing with Kurt Warner and his hot route master, it doesn't matter. You got posts and corners to get open in man. Cardinals at number 21, another team. Kyler Murray should be higher overall than he is right now. Talk about a rookie coming on the scene and actually doing well. Cardinals, man, he hasn't, 170 straight throws without an interception for Kyler? Impressive. So hopefully Kyler's up to low 90s soon at least. Deerdorf right tackles, probably the best right tackle in the game until maybe Ramczyk gets up to 93 with a few more wins. Black hole at tight end again. Offensive line, the rest of that is bleh. Wide receivers are bleh. David Johnson's good. Adrian Peterson's meh. You got the best defensive card in the game, and he's only on the Cardinals. So that was kind of like a big thing for me. You could probably put him at linebacker too, or put in Tyron there at linebacker and leave at safety. You got some flexibility there in like nickel packages. Good linebackers for rushing the passer here on Suggs, and then decent linemen or pretty good linemen too there. And you got Pat Pete and DRC outside. So overall, I like your defense, and having Pat Tillman really swayed me to rank you this high. But your offense, I think, with the kind of like lower speed kind of studs you got there, might be a struggle to move. And maybe I did rate them too high just on the back of Tillman. But if you're a runner, you're fine running stretch with David Johnson as your offense, running off the right side of the field. All right. Next up, number 20, Jets, Jets. Jets, I think, both a solid all-around squad for what you need to do. Your tight end is bleh. Your offensive line is bleh. You got good interior guys. But Quebec, Brandon Marshall, Demaryius Thomas, Roby if you need anybody to kind of go burning. And then you got Le'Veon Bell there. Your top-tier halfback, top-tier quarterback, too. So you got a lot of pieces. You can either run the mobile or the top-tier non-mobile quarterback with Hot Route Master. Your defense is kind of where your thing is made. You're going to want to shift your Ed Reed over to free safety. And then you got, just pieces. Maybe go like a nickel set or I guess a 4-3 set and then move Avery out to right here, left outside linebacker. And then you just basically can move Sheldon here to right end. So a pretty good overall defense. Got some really good stud playmakers there and a very cromulent offense. Makes Jets my number 20. Mike Vick's things up too, right? Mike Vick's only on a few theme teams, so he is kind of a difference maker for me, along with like the Lux and Wilsons and Watsons. Those escape artist quarterbacks of the world are pretty nice. All right, Saints are number 19 for me. So Mr. Saints, let's come marching in. So I gotta get some water here. We're getting a little thirsty. So Saints have good tackles, which I think are more important to offensive line play than any interior guy. So having one of the best right tackles and a passable left tackle, along with two solid tight ends, good, almost great receivers, a top-tier running back, and then two very good backups too. Warner, Breeze, both non-mobile quarterbacks, which is unfortunate. I think Escape Artist is better than Hot Route Master, but Hot Route Master is pretty good itself. You got DeMario there as a linebacker. You're struggling a little bit in the secondary. Lattimore should get an upgrade soon enough, but you got pretty decent corners at the moment in there, McAllister and Lattimore. And your front three is also pretty solid overall and stout there. And then Ninkovich. I guess you go front four for the Saints. Maybe you do like, I don't know what I do. Would I do a nickel package? I guess nickel. You're still gonna be playing a gold no matter what kind of package you have out on the field. Which is tough on defense. But your offense, I feel like it's a nice, well-balanced overall squad for the Saints. This is a team that I can see competing with a lot of others because it's so well-rounded. So now that we're getting in the teens, you're starting to see a lot more strength at positions where a lot of teams would have to run out golds. But like the Saints would still have to use a gold versus other teams that are high on the list wouldn't have to run up any of those low overalls. So like theme teams, it sucks that they got nerfed this year with the speed. They really should have, if anything, buffed them. But it sucks that they're not doing that. Next up was Ravens. I think you guys saw that. Ravens is at 18 for me. Another decent O-line. Your right tackle, left guard aren't good. Great tight ends. Great tight ends. Your receiving core sucks, though. That's so bad. That's so sad. It is so sad. You can move Sharp or Clark out to receiver, but still, they're not nearly the field stretchers that you really want. But I guess for a run-focused team, a run-first, run-focused team with these, with this kind of, with Lamar Jackson the QB option, I maybe if that's your scheme, you're even better because your defense is absolutely dominant, right? That's why your rate is so high. It's just without receivers, that's what I took you down on. So like you literally just don't have receivers. But you do have great QB options for your Ravens. So if that's your scheme, if you run QB draw every play, actually maybe a higher overall team if that's your scheme. Ravens are actually really good if you run QB draw a lot. All right, next up, 17. The Redskins, Washington, a little bit better balance, pretty good defensive backs. They're probably almost the best defensive backs. You got a left tackle that wants to leave your town. Two decent other pieces, a bad right tackle. Tight end is solid, just a cromulent, right? Decent pieces at wide receiver, average there. Clinton Portis above average. You got Warner. He's the Warner effect there. And then you got Ken Houston. You're like, oh, you got nothing else there. But they got a bevy of riches there at CB. So you just move one of these guys, DRC, Quentin Dunbar, back to free safety. And then you got solid pass rushing skills. Lorenzo there, you can move to the middle linebacker. And then I guess you would need one more defensive lineman. But you can move down. Kerrigan's essentially a rusher. These guys are rushers. So you can run like a dollar set or a dime 146 where a lot of DBs are out on the field. And I think Washington would be pretty good, successful defense with that happening for them. So Washington, better balance. If you run a heavy DB scheme, they are the way to go there because of the skills out at those positions for them. Number 16 is the Eagles, another NFC East team with the rivalry. So, Eagles, great offensive line. Them and I think the Cowboys have the best offensive line, but like I said, it's one of my least favorite groups when I'm rating teams. If it was just based on offensive linemen, they'd be much higher. Ertz is a very good tight end. Good receivers, T.O.'s bordering on excellent, if not one of the top 5 in the game right now. Michael Vick is, of course, Michael Vick. You got to love him. Your running backs, unfortunately, you got a better running back at quarterback than you do actually at running back. But then your DBs, very nice. Dawkins, secondary right there. You're a little weak at corner. I keep saying DBs, I should say safeties. Your CBs are weak. Your safeties are strong. Well, strong-ish. And your front line with Brandon Graham, Reggie White, and Fletcher Cox right there are god tier. So, moving on from Eagles. So, Eagle, they got some weak spots, but their strengths, I feel like, cover up what they're missing to rank them at 16. Number 15. I don't know, is this a homer pick? I don't think so. 15 feels fair for the Steelers. What the Steelers suffer from is, like, a lack of, like, I guess, explosive players outside of, like, Vic. They got decent offensive line across the board. A pretty good one. Their tackle's a little bit weaker than their interior. You got a bad tight end. Juju Smith-Schuster, Randall L., and Antonio Brown are all... they're, like, highly rated, but they're not, like, studs out on the field from what I've used to them. Le'Veon Bell's up there with the best running backs in the game. Mike Vick up there with the best quarterbacks in the game. So studs right there. But that's kind of it for offense. You got studs at those two positions, a good offensive line, but your receivers aren't anything to write home about. You do have Troy Polamalu. Hopefully a new Minka card's coming very soon. Great pass rushers there and Kevin Green. I guess you could say Dupree isn't great. Him and Watt are solid. But you have like one of the best users in the game, another amazing user, so maybe you can put him on the CPU play. And then user Bush because he's not as smart as Shaz. And then you got solid DBs here. Nothing extraordinary and a very fine defensive line. Still sad about Tuitt missing the year. Obviously him and Roethlisberger. So I think they're a well-balanced team overall, but like outside of a couple like Polamalu, who doesn't get enforcer, sadly, Vic, Le'Veon, it's not like, wow, these guys are glitchy type of team. So that's why they're 15. I would like to be higher, of course. Hopefully get some more Steelers legends. Panthers, number 14. All right, let's take a look at what's brewing in Carolina. No Cam, sadly, but I think Cam would be starting for your team with Escape Artist because I just like it a little bit better than Hyrule Master. Great tight end, very good offensive line with the exception of right tackle. Your receivers leave a lot to be desired. And then McCaffrey is pretty solid. A little slow, I believe. The theme team really helps him catch up to a lot of cards, but McCaffrey, I feel like, doesn't represent in game what he can do on the field IRL, because that guy is explosive. He's basically their offense right now. Great middle linebacker, great pass rusher. Burns is a solid, very great user. Adams and Reed there. And then, like, so your DBs are a little weak versus other teams. Reggie White would slot over to right end there. And I think their defense is very nice with the exception of DBs, which will get you swell. So, like, the out wide positions, the wide receiver, the CBs, that's really tough for Carolina. That's really where they struggle on the field. But you can kind of make it up by just running the ball. Do QB options with Cam Newton the whole dang game. It's very similar, I guess, to the Ravens like that as the Panthers. But I like the Panthers slightly better than all the ones. Like all these teams in here, I'd say from the Ravens up are maybe I guess I could stretch it down a little bit. Maybe the Chargers is basically the cutoff to like usable theme teams where they can compete online. They won't be you'll rarely get a matchup with these theme teams where you are the number one team on the field or the best team, but you can win games. All right, Texans was next. Let's open them on up. So, I don't know. It might be not till like Super Bowl time, the two teams in the Super Bowl, until like we get like teams that are theme teams that are as good as the teams on the field, because that Super Bowl promo brings a lot of cards that are competitive for those teams. Hopkins, Stills, Warner. I would run Watson, of course. Lamar Miller, all good. Fells is fine, I guess. No right tackle. A lot of teams suffer from that. So below average offensive line. Your secondary is good. You can move the Honey Badger over or leave him. Move one of these guys to linebacker in a nickel formation. You got Clowney to rush for you. You got Watt as two defensive linemen, like a nickel. And then your CBs are below average too. So some holes there, but I like a few of their playmakers. You could argue the Texans should be lower, but I really like their kind of what they offer on offense there with Watson, the wide receivers, and then a few of the playmakers. And maybe now that I look at it again, maybe I did overrate the Clowney-Watt connection into their defense. I could see the argument of putting them a little bit lower. I could see them slotting maybe even 5 spots down. Depending if you like to run the ball, definitely Ravens are better than them. But if you like to pass, you got some speed out there. Got some Hopkins. Got some Watson. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with this. You get a limited team of the week. So yeah, I'm gonna leave Texans where they're at. I'm fine with their ranking. Let me know if I'm being too aggressive with some of them. Maybe you think your team's better than the Texans. You can make an argument for any of these teams better than the Texans for the last like 10. Broncos. I mean, you can do that with everything, right? You can make an argument for anything, world. It's one of our biggest things. We always bicker about things that don't need to be argued about. We won't get too deep. All right, offensive line. Meh. Tight end. Wide receivers. Meh. Good. He'll move over. Oh, no, sorry. Brown will move back. Amazing CBs. Amazing secondary. Very good, very great pass rushers. Defense is very good. Offense is crummy enough to score you points with good solid pieces out there. So, yeah, I guess the top tier D with the CBs, for me, that's what really tilted them this high for the Broncos theme team. That's what made me say, oh, yeah, baby. Broncos theme team's very nice. Very, very nice. And they will be competitive with a lot of teams trying to throw the ball on you and run the ball. Seahawks at number 11. So, yeah. What else did there say? When you said Broncos, you said it all. Seahawks. I feel like I should be analyzing these a little bit more, but I feel like they kind of sell. So, a really shitty offensive line, but everything else about their team is really good. Good tight end on Jimmy Graham. Maybe not a great run blocker if you run the ball a lot. Seahawks are crazily running a lot. I would go Russell Wilson over Warner, but like I said, that's your choice. Your receivers makes a lot of plays. And then your secondary, Merton Hanks slides over to strong safety. You got a very good linebacker core, one of the best ones here. And then you got cornerbacks, maybe a little weak there at Coleman and Griffin. But yeah, great defensive line, great linebackers, and maybe one spot if you're on like a 3-4, 4-3. Probably 4-3. One spot, one CB is a little weak. But otherwise, everything else, except for offensive line and one CB, is almost like top tier at their position. Maybe not like Moss level top tier or Hill level top tier, but dang close to it. Number 10, a defensive focused team, will be the Bears. They will bear down on the rankings. I don't know. Trubo and not winning games kind of makes it hard for them. This is another squad that's really bailed out by Warner, obviously. Olsen, bad offensive line, but like I said, that's my lowest rank, my lowest position of power positions in this game. Wide receivers that can get the job done. Tall, big blocking. You got Gale Sayers, one of the best running backs in the game. And then your defense is basically where your bread is made. Tillman, Fuller, Busters, meh. Your defensive line with the addition of Mack there and your linebackers. I like it. I think it's a nice balanced overall squad that can basically every single position is good overall, but except for this one. So another team with a weakness, but you know you're weak across the board. So I don't know. I don't know how badly these gold lines will get roasted, but in salary cap you always see people, all the pros play with bad O lines still. So I still rate it. I've still had that similar experience. Like if guys are just gonna miss blocks, which is the biggest problem with offensive linemen, is they just miss blocks. Like what's the point of having them? Just frustrating. My top tier Joe Thomas would frequently miss blocks. Upshaw, Hudson, Gay, their tackles suck. So automatically offensive line sucks. Amazing. This is the Raiders. Amazing secondary skill positions. Derek Carr is very good. Secondary. This is why we're in the top 10 here. Willie Brown, DRC there. So maybe a little bit of a weakness, but at least Carl Joseph's kind of fast. But you're going to want to have your pass rushers go at him hard. Great front line and go get 'ems, I guess is the word they're officially called in the NFL. But basically the Raiders are this high because the absolute top end studs that they put on the field at skill positions, which are the most important positions in MUT. I'm going to repeat that over and over. Browns at number 8. Wow. With all the talent on the Browns, you think they'd be doing better in the NFL now. What is going on, coaches? Huh? All right, so Browns, you do have the best left tackle, best right tackle combo in the game, and I think it's kind of hands down. Your offensive line is great. Njoku's fine. Odell is good. He'll be getting an updated card. Joe Vicious, I'm sure, is getting an updated card. Of course, all the cards in the game will get updated cards. Jim Brown, one of the better halfbacks in the game. You do have Otto Graham, too. Kurt Warner, so you got options there. But your offense is really good, in my opinion. Well all around, except for tight end. And then your defense, I think, also has some very nice cards there to help you play and kind of compete. Maybe not, besides for Denzel, who is literally the top best cornerback in the game. You don't really have any other best in the game, but you have guys that can kind of win. Garrett would obviously slot over the left end here. They could, not win, but like they could hold their own, get you in position to maybe force a turnover near the goal line and let your offense just outscore them. Because you're so well balanced. All right, number 7. As we start to get into the more competitive teams, Packers. The Packers are here. Now, Packers are another team that's just a all-balanced, all-around team, but maybe doesn't have like that god-tier card. Another one with a very solid offensive line. Jimmy Graham, Adams, and Driver. Driver's really good. Adams isn't fast enough. Valdean Scaling, like he's pretty good. Tall, nice speed. Aaron Jones, pretty solid running back. Yeah, I would go with Rodgers over Warner unless you need the hot route master. Their defense is very nice. Adrian Amos is fast and strong safety, which is what you need. I don't know when he'll get an upgraded card, but he might be one of the best safeties in the league or in the game when he gets an updated card. Your linebackers are very nice. And then your defensive line, you have Peppers, one of the best defensive linemen. Jair, Casey Hayward on the outside at corner. And then Reggie White could slot over there at right end. So, Packers, solid. Very solid overall team there, and that's why they are number 7. Number 6, a little surprising in my opinion, Giants. Giants are super high due to the playmakers they had. You already saw OBJ there on the Browns, but they got a lot of other playmakers. They got Herman Moore here at wide receiver. OBJ, like I talk about, Jurevicius still. Saquon, one of the best running backs in the game. They got David and Kurt Warner. And then Ingram with the theme team, probably the best tight end in the game for receiving with how fast he was. Like with power up with the theme team, what is he, 92 speed? Probably +2 theme team, plus maybe you can get 1 sprinter on him. Offensive line, of course, isn't that good, but that, again, like I said, that's the weakest position for me that I don't really look at. Jabril Peppers would slide over there to free. Landon's a nice enforcer for you. Bullock, Lawrence Taylor would be rushing the passer with Strahan, Damon Harrison to stop the run. And then so you'd have like, yeah, Vernon could play a defensive tackle, also like a 3-tech for you. Or you can move Strahan in the middle. But Seahorn, good still. CB, DRC can hold his own too. Not like amazingly hold his own, but he can just do well enough. But yeah, your offensive playmakers along with just kind of every position that I really value, having a player to fill that in and fill it in very nicely. All right, number 5. Getting up there. NFC East, represent yourself again. Cowboys. Like I talked about earlier, Cowboys always having a good offensive line in this game, and as they should, right? They built their team, the success off their offensive line in the 90s. They're building it now. Lyell's maybe a little bit weak at right tackle, but overall great. Witten's really slow. Cooper, T.O., Irvin. Irvin should be getting an upgrade, maybe Thanksgiving card, I would guess. Then you got Zeke and Aikman you can run instead of Warren if you want to be more Cowboy-centric. And then defense, you basically slot maybe Xavier over to strong safety or move Mel back. But you got Byron, Dion at CB out there if you do move Renfro back. Otherwise, you move Xavier over, Renfro at nickel, and you run like a nickel package with Jalen. I think Sean Lee might be a little slow in my opinion. Maybe a solid CPU player. I haven't tried him yet. Just got a new flashback. Leighton Vander Esch. And then like your defensive line is Ed Too Tall and DeMarcus Lawrence. And DeMarcus Lawrence, with him activated, dude is God tier. Dude, he still messes people up with those abilities. So I think Dallas is a really good theme team, both offensively and defensively. Very competitive right there. So that's why the number 5. Maybe not like the Mosses and Tyreeks of the world, but very hot. Talk about Tyreek, but very solid playmakers everywhere. Chiefs number 4. You're like, whoa, Chiefs, aren't they overpowered? I mean, they're really good at like a couple positions, like amazingly top tier. Mahomes, unfortunately, hasn't had a card since the beginning of the year, and he's kind of getting a little outdated. But you do have a good right tackle, center, left guard. This center can move to either guard or tackle. Probably is the more important position than guard. Kelsey, one of the best tight ends in the game. Tyreek, Dante, Watkins. Are you kidding me? Hardman, too. Hardman was up to 96 speed with a theme team boost. Dante, and so you just got speed for days. You're going to be absolutely slinging it. You got Allen there, Okoye. Your offense is absolutely like probably better than a lot of most all competition you'll see online. You will have a better offense than if you have this Chiefs theme team. Defense holds up decently, but this is kind of where their holes are. Linebackers, you really only have Lanier there. Eric Berry might slot over to free safety, but he's an 82 and slow. And then your defensive line, you got some solid pieces there. You got Surtain. I guess Peters. I guess move Fuller back to free safety now that I look at it again. So you run like maybe like a nickel. Yeah, maybe a nickel normal package or something like that. With Frank Clark and Chris Jones, your D tackles. Peters, Law, Surtain, Fuller at free safety, Tyron there. You can move Eric Berry and replace like Hitchens. Actually, I mean I think that's a fine defense. A nickel normal Chiefs theme team defense. I'm for that. Chiefs maybe should go up, but let's take a look at number 3 to make another decision. Number 3 for us is the Rams. Okay, now you'd be like, wow, it's gonna take a lot to unseat that Chiefs offense. And the Rams' offensive line isn't there. Well, let me make sure you guys see that. The Rams' offensive line isn't there. The Cook's fine, whatever. But they got Holt. They also have Dante Hall, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks. So you got speed there. Gurley's very good. Warner, like another team held up again by Kurt Warner. Whereas they didn't have like a Mahomes to fall back on. Then their defense is very nice too. Joyner's a little short for my taste. You got great pass rushers right there. Your defensive line is like the best defensive lineman in the game. You got Ramsey's very good. Talib's very good. Seahorn, Roby Coleman, and Troy Hill are both fine. 2 additions. And so the defense, I feel like, is a little bit better than what we just saw with Kansas City. But I could totally see the argument that maybe Tyreek is good enough over Torrey Holt to tilt the favor towards the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs also have a better offensive line and tight end option. So maybe that is the move. Maybe the move is to add... Dang, that's a hard one. Rams or Chiefs? Maybe I would put Chiefs at 3. Yeah, let's put them at 3. Little audible. This one, it's hard for putting these things in order because there's I don't know, a few things. All right, number 2. Surprise, surprise. Patriots, top tier theme team. They always seem to get a great team, and they have had a great theme team. One of the best theme teams since I've started looking at theme teams. Since they've been a big deal since like last year, 3 years ago when we got into it. Very good offensive line. You can move Thunny out if you need, even though like maybe you want to put a better guy out there because tackles are more important. Gronk, one of the better tight ends in the game. Edelman, Cooks, Moss, Brown technically is a Patriot. He did play a game there. You got Sonny, James. James should be going up a couple overall soon enough. Warner is over Brady. So your offense, you've got a real good playmaker here, and then Gronk is very good too. So your offense is well rounded with solid playmakers, and then your defense is you got a lot of studs, Patriots. You got a lot of studs. And they got like, what, almost 90s at every position that you can throw out there. Dunton moves there. So that's why the Pats are number 2 for me. I mean, just everywhere. You end up moving, what, McCourty or Talib back to strong. And you're rolling out a 90 at just about every single position. 90 or above. So, I like it. I like, what else am I to say? Well balanced, and all the balance is top tier balance. Number 1, though, is 49ers. I might hear some disagreements here, but the Niners just seem to, from their classic teams to now, to this year going undefeated, they just seem to have it. So the Niners, you don't got a good right tackle. I get it. Maybe move Larry Allen out there. Fine. And then your guards they're weaker, but that's fine. You got like the best 2 tight ends in the game, at least for run blocking and all-around purposes. Your receivers, you got 3 of the best. Coleman is good. You got an escape artist or a hot route master, so your offense is, outside of a couple linemen, damn near perfect. Your defense, then, you got Merton. You can argue the strong safety position's a little weak when you move Mike Adams over, and I can see that. But you got a top tier middle linebacker, good left outside linebacker, and then a solid defensive line. So you'd be like a 3-4. You know what? Maybe the Niners do go down without the right outside linebacker there. In a 3-4, playing a gold outside linebacker and a gold guard. But man, it's kind of that like stars versus scrubs question. Would you go the stars of the Niners and take a couple positions like guards being golds? Or would you rather go the Patriots? But I mean, like, these are 50 out of 50. What you can do on the Niners is literally just buy 2 offensive linemen and then buy it on the strong safety, and then you've got a full 50 out of 50 theme team. And you're there. But that's not the exercise. The exercise is just these cards. Huh. Yeah, I mean, you got the best cornerback, best wide receiver, him and Tyreek in the game on one team. T.O.'s, what, top 5? Kittle, I don't know. At the positions that are really important, you got it. Sherman, I guess you could argue, is a little slow. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Niners. But I could see like any of the top 3, or I could see any of the top 4 having an argument for number 1. That's kind of like that tier. So like the tier, if I go to tier, this would be like tier A. Let's tier them off. Like this is maybe S tier. This is maybe A tier. I would then go Bears as B tier. And then take it all the way down to Chargers. Bills starts the C tier. And then this will be Bengals tier. They're really bad. So there's my tier ranking of the theme teams. And I could exchange any guys in those tiers. Or most of them. Alright, I hope you guys liked it. Thanks for watching Call to Action. I'll see you tomorrow.